Welcome to Sandbox Security's flagship leadership podcast session. Today's topic is of utmost interest and relevance to all the practitioners out there. It is beyond compliance how DPDPA, UAE's PDPL, KSA PDPL is enabling security in the age of AI. And to discuss this, we have with us one of the most renowned industry experts and a veteran from the space, the cyber doctor, Dr. Lalit. Thank you, Dr. Lalit, for joining us. It's really a pleasure having you with us on the show. Thank you for your time.
Getting me here. I'm very happy seeing industries talking about not only surface level security, security, privacy, AI, all three of them together creates a different level of risk. The ecosystem is changed. So I'm glad today we are talking about that risk ecosystem.
Absolutely, Dr. Lalit. And I, for one, have been closely following your journey ever since the time I've known you. What really stands out to me is, like you mentioned, how you see privacy, cybersecurity, AI, not as separate conversations, but as one evolving space. Many of the organizations are still struggling to understand this. But before we dive deep, I would like to start with you and your journey. Looking back at your journey so far, I'm curious to know what has really drawn you to cybersecurity and how did it evolve or grow into your focus on AI and privacy?
Okay, I started 31 years back. If I calculate total, don't guess my age now.
Yeah.
And I was the chosen one.
Yeah.
I could say that, right? Cybersecurity was not there as a field when I started. It was little known information security.
Yeah.
Anybody who is little technical, they knew firewalls, antivirus, those things. But otherwise, whenever you say information security, people would think, oh, he's managing security guards.
True.
So I come from those times, we started with that.
Yeah.
And security came naturally to me. I was, before Windows, till the year 95, 96, it was novel netware. We used to say if you want to run a program on one computer, Windows 3.11 was there.
Yeah.
It is good enough. But the moment you want to connect from room A to room B, Microsoft did not have the facility.
Yeah.
So you needed something else. There was a company called Novell. They had a tool, Novell Netware. So you need that to connect to computers or to networks, right? So I come from those times. I'm among last few CNE certified Novell engineers of India, because after that Novell Netware crashed and Microsoft came and all that happened. So that certification was purely in networking, nothing to do with security. That certification got me into Indian CERT. So I was chosen for creating that Indian CERT, leading the team. That was my time when I learned security, what it is. While creating CERT for that 1 year, one and a half year, when we were writing the policies for India as a country, that time I learned about security and got interested.
Interesting.
And that's how the journey started. After that, I started working on, when we came out of CERT, we handed over to the government, we came out. I started working on BS 7799, which is erstwhile framework for ISO 27001.
Yes,
That was my first flavor of governance. So I started understanding governance way beyond when it became a buzzword in industry. And I was an advisor, I was a consultant. I used to run my own cyber cafes, my own consulting company that time. And my first, encounter with bad security was I love you virus. So I used to have some 20 plus cyber cafes in Delhi.
Okay.
And in one night, all my cafes were down with I love you virus. And those 2 days and 3 nights when I roamed around all over Delhi on my bike, putting CDs, bootable CDs in my all computers separately, reinstalling the system, cleaning them up and everything. Close to 500, 600 systems I had to clean up everything and back on track. And later on when I went to industry as a consultant, when I used to work with them on their networks and so-called securities, I used to wonder why technology fails every time. But when I started working on BS 7799 and I got introduced to governance, that was the time when I got to know, oh, this was the missing piece. You need to have a structure in place. Only technology is no good. You need people, you need process and technology that creates your
hand in hand,
governance
yeah.
structure, And today, when I look at AI and the industry, it's kind of deja vu. You would have seen this
We've
movie,
gone, yeah.
Loop Lapeta or Do Bara or Groundhog Dog from
Yeah,
Hollywood.
Yeah.
The time
The
goes
cycle.
in loop.
Yeah.
Same thing is happening now.
Yeah.
Industry is working on AI. Everything is AI. In everything we are putting AI, but nobody is looking at governance structure.
Correct.
So again, things are going back to the scare one. Things are going bad. Technology is failing. So for me, industry evolved. Yes, we are tackling different kind of problems, but the problem statement remains same. So I'm just reliving my life, what I lived in last 15, 20 years.
True, and it's a great observation. Do you also feel that because industry leaders, again, who have pivoted into this space, also come from different backgrounds? So, does the definition of risk, technology, and how they implement governance change, or with how these leaders view security?
Very good question. A risk in earlier times was, what if my system goes bad?
Yeah, true.
What if I love you virus comes again? You know, I'm just taking the name because that virus hit me hard that time. But what if a virus comes in my systems and I'm not able to do my work? Risk was that much that time. Now the risks are different. Now we don't even know what's going on in my systems because of AI and ML. Everything is automated.
Correct.
No humans are taking decisions at a lot of places. And that is something which I seriously think we don't need in industry today. We need to think about it. There has to be human intervention to all these automated stuff we are putting in. I'll give you some examples. I was working in one of the countries in Middle East. I won't name it for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 3-4 years back when AI, ML, even RPA was new, robotic process automation. So they had put some ML codes or engines in a hospital
Okay.
just to identify if somebody is trying to hack into the hospital systems. Now, this is a sad story. I talked about this in many podcasts before also, but it's coming to my mind now.
Okay.
Around early morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., there was this kid of 7-8 years with a heart ailment. She started collapsing. So in MICU, the duty doctor, again, she was a resident. She was not a very senior doctor. She was a resident only, still studying. She looked at her and she wanted to log into the system and see her files, and so that she can call the doctor or give her some emergency treatment. In that panic stage, she had put her password wrong 2-3 times.
Okay.
The AI engine somewhere thought, oh, it's an intruder,
Okay.
and it locked the whole system.
Oh God.
And the sad part is that kid couldn't survive because she didn't get the proper treatment on time. So scenarios like this make me think, yes, advancement of technology is good, but the risk remains there. If I'm not using the technology in the right way, if I don't put the right structure around the technology, it still backfires. So for me, risk has not changed. Risk is still there. It's only the form of risk is changed.
True.
Right?
And I mean, it's an example that you have given, and I don't know, to this day, lapses such as this must be happening.
No, I'm talking about some years back.
Okay.
Now things have improved. Even that
Yes.
time industry was learning. Things have improved, but now there are new risks which we still need to tackle. Risk landscape is changing on daily basis. Right?
True.
So we need to adapt. We need to learn.
That brings me to the next question. If you have to compare your career now and back then when you started your career, how do you think, or rather, what has changed in how organizations today view privacy and security? Because you gave this example, and it happened at a stage where security was not really mature, or
Security was mature, AI was not.
AI was not mature, correct? So, how do you think organizations have evolved in how they view, think about, and understand security and privacy?
In one line, if I want to answer that, the place where security, privacy is being discussed has changed.
Okay.
Earlier, when I started my career, not remember when I started my career, in the mid of my career, around 15, 16 years back, security, privacy, confidentiality, privacy word was not there that much. Security, confidentiality, all these things were IT terms.
True.
Only IT teams used to talk about in silos, in data centers, in server rooms. Outside that, nobody was talking about security.
It was not a boardroom discussion.
It was not.
Yeah, yeah.
We never knew that board needs to be included in all this, To the extent, I went for an interview when I was like a kid, maybe of your age that time. So this guy asked me, Lalit, can you draw a secure network diagram?
Okay.
So my secure network diagram that time was periphery router, inside firewall, and then my network.
Okay.
And he was so happy. He was like, wow, you put a firewall in between, so my network is secure.
Secured.
So that was the kind of sense of security that time.
Yeah.
Today, you and I, we know only a firewall cannot do anything, right? It can be broken in nanoseconds. So now, and at that time, nobody used to think about reputation. But reputation was not there in the picture. Today, security, privacy has become a boardroom discussion. Why? Because reputation has been involved.
Yeah, yeah.
A revenue loss businesses can still afford. A reputation loss they cannot.
They cannot. True.
Plus, lot of compliances, lot of laws have come which warrants them to take care of these things. For example, your KSA PDPL, UAE PDPL, Indian DPDPA Act, European Union GDPR. These laws have helped the industry a lot. Now, in India also, because of my Cybersecurity Council, being the president, I influenced a lot of policy decisions in India. And because of that, I was part of DPDPA Act rules also when they were getting drafted. I'm seeing a sea change. Earlier, people used to come and talk about, okay, we will do security. Security was always taken as a backseat. Today, first discussion among any board meeting is security, privacy. And especially in India today, by DPDPA Act or GDPR in European Union, all these privacy laws, they come with a huge penalty. So everybody is thinking about them. And these things change the industry. So that way, yes, I have seen a lot of change that has happened in industry where the security, privacy is being discussed. And that's it.
Yeah, the landscape has changed.
Correct.
In fact, the example that you gave, that just probably having an architecture diagram with a firewall, that sort of gave the people that there's a sense of security.
He was so happy.
Yeah. So I've even heard people, in fact, when I started off my career in the cybersecurity space, I heard few companies, and it was a Middle East company that I was interacting with, and their take was very simple. We have an antivirus, we are sorted. So
Okay, I'll talk about Middle Eastern companies now. I lived in Middle East for 10 years.
yeah,
They have the money,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
A vendor comes to them. We have created a great solution for security.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yes.
How much is it? X dirhams. Voila, get me.
okay,
They buy the technology, they never use it. Because they don't know how to use it. They don't have people trained on that.
yeah,
That I have seen a lot in Middle East, Because of the money power, they have the best of the technology in place. But again, where is the governance?
yes,
Where are your people trained? Where are your policies, processes? How will you use it?
correct,
After 2, 3, 4 years, when the leadership changes and they see, oh, this is an obsolete technology, we don't need it, go for next one.
yeah, yeah,
Same thing happened with that also. So what industry needs today, including Middle East, everywhere is you need to define a structure around it. You need governance in place. So again, I think today, and all my life I had been talking about governance,
Yeah,
governance.
You've
And
been an
today also
advocate
I'll keep repeating this word. So we need that.
Yeah. So you have been in so many ways a founding pillar when it comes to the Indian cybersecurity landscape. You've worked with leadership teams across the GCC and India. So where do you see the biggest disconnect today in AI and security and privacy? So the focus is also on privacy.
See, not only in Middle East or India, let's not
Yeah.
seclude them, even in Europe,
Yeah.
Americas. I worked globally in
Yes,
65
yes,
countries,
yeah.
right? Everywhere the same problem.
Yeah.
Everybody's working in silos. So IT don't talk to compliance, compliance don't talk to risk don't talk to security, security don't talk to board. So everybody is very good in their silo, but together when you look at it from top,
Yeah.
nothing is there.
Yeah.
That has been a perennial problem everywhere, in all the regions, in all the countries, in all the companies and sectors I worked with. So what is the solution? Again, I'll repeat myself. Have governance structure in place from top to bottom. Everybody should talk the same language.
True.
You know, I saw this small clip somewhere. A guy went to NASA and there was this janitor guy mopping the floor. He asked him, "What's your role in NASA?"
Okay.
Yeah, or he asked him, "What NASA does?" Something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I am helping NASA to put the man on the moon."
Yeah.
A janitor who is mopping the floor knows the strategic vision of NASA.
True.
You need to do that with your people today.
Very interesting example.
If your last person knows your vision, mission, and objective statement of company, everybody will talk same language. So
Only
don't work.
then you are propelled to.
Absolutely. Then let ransomware come, let any cyber attack come, let phishing email come, whatever it is, it will be taken care of. Because everybody is speaking the same language, they know what to do. So that's the biggest disconnect I have seen everywhere.
Yes, yes. I don't know how far it's true, but say there's an event, a breach of some sort happens, because most teams would be working in silos. There's also a tendency to run around a blame game. And most often in my interaction with various companies, various industries, there is a little bit of confusion around the reporting structure also when it comes to security, right? Should the CISO be responsible? Should it be the IT head? Should it be the CIO or the CTO? So since you brought about this aspect of teams working in silo, nobody taking the accountability or ownership, how does that work? Because most often organizations speak about it, that it reflects in their leadership structure, which is not clear.
Exactly 21 years back, I was in Bangalore working for one of the consumer durable company. I'm not naming it today. It's one of the top 5 consumer durables companies of the world today. And I came as manager information security. And before me, there was nobody in that role. They created that role.
Okay.
I came, first thing I blocked was Orkut. If you guys remember Orkut, before Facebook, it was Orkut.
Term, yeah.
Second thing I blocked was Yahoo Mail. So there was no Gmail. Google was not there, right? It was Yahoo Mail and Rediff Mail. So I blocked those from my network. And there was so much of resentment. Everybody started hating me, Typical hate. If I'm going straight, they will change their path. They won't talk to me. Lunchtime also I'm sitting alone and eating and all of that. And I was finding it tough how to convince people, to follow. Now they have to follow because technologically I blocked all of those things.
Yeah.
But I wanted the culture also to be like that. That my CEO saw that and he was like, "Okay, Lalit, let me help you."
Okay.
He called everybody in a town hall and he told everybody, "Guys, he is hired directly by my orders and whatever he is doing has my affirmation. If anybody has any problem with any security policy he's putting in, come to my office. Nobody dared to go to his office. And since that day, my role was a cakewalk. Leaders have to lead from front.
True.
That's another disconnect I'm finding. All of us, like, okay, today even I am considered as a leader of the industry. If I keep sitting in my cabin and I don't even go and talk to anybody, how will I help creating that culture of security?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was the reason the moment you said, I invite you for a podcast, I was like, let me come. Because I need to create that awareness. I need industry to know what is right, what is wrong. We need to talk. We need to lead from the front.
True.
So, industries where the leaders are leading from the front, they understood this very early, and they are the frontiers today.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're one of the key examples of.
Okay, I can say so. Yeah. Almighty had given me chances. I never said no.
Yeah.
Right.
You have been an inspiration for so many practitioners, people like us who are still building our career in this field. So tell me, Dr. Lalit, what are the most common challenges you see organizations repeatedly struggle with? It's a recurring problem. You have very clearly pointed it out in the first question that I had asked you. But again, these are probably the problems that organizations are not ready to solve, and it still reappears as problems continuously.
Mindset.
Great.
Earlier when we started working on security in this industry, we used to share checklists. If I have audited one particular system or if I have implemented a particular control and mitigated a risk, so I would share that with my peers. If somebody else has done something, they will share it with us. So we used to share those notes. So we used to follow those checklists. What is happening today? Everybody is asking ChatGPT, Clouds or co-pilots of the world. How they are learning. They were also feeded this information by somebody. There is a way to assess the risk. Come out of checkbox exercise, come out of tick box exercise. Look at the process, identify the risk and mitigate them. That had been a continuous problem. For the last 31 years, I'm seeing the same problem being repeated now, but in a different form now. Earlier, we used to share paper-based or on emails. Now, ChatGPT is telling me all those things. So still, we are not doing the risk assessment and management in the way it has to be done. Same with your AI. Everybody is busy with putting APIs, developing codes, writing codes using AI. Nobody is looking at how this code will behave in my environment. One size doesn't fit all in security. If it is working well for others, it may or may not work well for me. I need to test it in my environment. I need to run it in my testing environment before putting it into production. Because of the speed needed today, because of like everybody is running behind something and I want to be the first in the race, we are not testing things, we are just putting them in production. And there is a bigger problem with AI. If it is working today in production well, I'm not sure after 5 days, 5 months, it will work in the same way. Because one, the risk landscape changes. Two, even the AI models, ML models, engines, they drift. They hallucinate. Another example coming to my mind, again, I'll share a story. This was in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
One very small country, they had put some codes for their peripheral security, border security. So if any aerial attack is happening, so they can know it. They had put a lot of cameras, some AI automation they have done. They had put some algorithm which would identify fighter jet is coming in and all that. One fine early morning, VRs again, there was a panic in the command and control center. All the alarms are
buzzing.
On. Yeah. What happened? Hundreds of fighter jets are coming towards us.
Okay.
And everybody was in panic mode. there was this one general, and it was defense, so they did not have automated response mechanism. They had manual override, and which is the thing needed even today. Plus, this general was an experienced guy. He was like, our neighboring country is not that rich to send us hundreds of fighter jets at a time. Something is amiss. So he sent a patrolling party, one of his jets, in the skies to the border to check. There was nothing.
Okay.
It was a flock of birds, which AI hallucinates as fighter jets.
True.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happened in real time. It is happening today also. It will keep on happening. So keep on modifying your risk statements.
True.
Keep on modifying your risk landscapes and act upon those accordingly.
Since you mentioned about AI hallucination, that also reminds me of another example. So there's a certain person who, went and gave a prompt to ChatGPT, give me the ingredients of how to make a bomb. And ChatGPT did not
That's a very
give.
famous
So,
example. Yeah.
And then the prompt was rephrased. So for the chemical compounds were named, and say for this, what are the ingredients needed? And ChatGPT ended up listing everything. Like how intelligence in the age of AI has been commoditized. Do you think security has also been commoditized, where everybody can manipulate security, and it's only going to get worse? Commoditizing of security intelligence.
I will not say it is going to get worse. We have to cope up with the technology.
Yeah.
Technology will evolve. Technology will advance. If I start getting scared of that, no, it's not the way to do. I'll give I'll come to your point. This is very interesting. When I did my class 10, way back, how many years? 36 years back. So we used to have manual papers, manual checking, manual result. So there was a time gap of 7 months between class 10 exam over and you get into class 11.
Okay.
7 months.
7 months of gap.
So it was the year 1990, and in my hometown there was one small computer center started.
Okay.
1990, 87 was first computer we saw in India. I'm talking about 1990. And whole of my class went and joined that computer center except me. And the first day when they didn't see me, somebody came to me and he asked me, why you are not there? I told him, computer seek ke kya karoge? What will you do while learning computers? You will become only an operator, nothing else.
Yeah.
And I don't know, God has given me good convincing power.
Yeah.
This particular guy never went back to the class.
Yeah.
And I met him in 2015-16 in Mumbai. And bachpan ke dost hain, gale wale mile and all that. And I was like, what do you do? He was like, I am in pharma and I am doing so and so. I was like, very good. What do you do? I said, I am in security. And security is difficult to make people. I said, I am in IT security.
Yeah.
In the middle of the road, he gave me a tight slap. Now I was like, why? Like, Lalit, you remember?
Yeah.
Because of you, I can't operate even my mobile today properly. And you told me, computer seek ke kya kare, and you are part of this industry. I was like, I'm not part of this industry. I'm running this industry today. So, don't be scared of technology. Technology will come. Technology will evolve. Start learning how to work with the technology. That famous example of two chatbots talking to each other, starting in English and then they started talking gibberish. That time is there. So put AI against AI. All your risks will be managed, mitigated.
Yeah.
So you just need to be a little smarter than that. That's all.
So today's session is centered around regulations, and most often there's a lot of ambiguity around the implementation of regulations. How do each organization perceive it? So from your point of view personally, how do you view regulations? Do you see them as compliance framework, checklist activities, or as enablers of security?
I'll again take a take which is not very industry famous.
Yeah.
Compliance frameworks, regulations, all of them are very good as a starting point. But don't stop there.
Yeah.
Most organizations I see, they will tick all the boxes as per the regulation, as per the compliance framework required, and that's it.
Checklist.
No.
Yeah.
This is not what you need to do. That's your starting point. That is the place which tells you what not to miss. It is not telling you that you do only this and you are good. You are good for audit, but you are not secure. So you need to do a lot of other things to be secure. I'll give you an example. When we met first time, we talked first time, I was working for one of these Middle Eastern conglomerate. So we had some 64 companies in 19 countries in 17 different sectors. So I was the global DPO, global CISO. We had 575 regulations and compliances to follow, including all
the GCC.
GCC was my head office, right? All your PDPLs and everything, DPRs and all of those. So you need to comply to 575 of those varied compliances, different countries' laws, conflicting laws, different needs of different sectors. How do you do that? So what we did is we created a unified controls framework. So what is all common in all of them and what is different? So we just made a big sheet,
integrated,
a unified controls framework, and that told me, 70% of everything is same. So my effort reduced. This 30% is different in different countries, different sectors, different laws. So we followed this 70%. This UCF 70% was taken care of, and then we started following this 30% each. And the thumb rule there is, if there are two conflicting laws and you are working as a centralized governing body, follow the most strictest one. Other one is by default compliant, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I see a miss even today in industry. Again, this is governance. This is nothing but governance. How do you put a structure in place to that? So industry has to look at compliance frameworks, regulations as a starting point, not the last mile.
I always say that your compliance journey only begins once you have achieved compliance to a certain standard. Once you have achieved, it does not end with the certification.
It begins from there.
So for most practitioners, it's always a nightmare running across, various compliance frameworks, controls.
I just gave you the trick.
Yeah. So unified compliance framework you mentioned of. So do you feel there's a growing demand for it, and are they looking at it more from a tool perspective or more as a consulting practice? Because today, since you mentioned about UCF, I could be uploading anything if it's from a tool. There would still be a human intervention to check.
Always.
So how does that go for our practitioners, if you could clarify?
I see a lot of tools which have created these UCFs, and the base is safe security or some project is there. So 33 domains and everybody is creating those UCFs. But again, all these tools are used as a dashboard. So dashboard I can create in AI today, right? Am I putting a governance structure in place in that? Who is taking care of alerts? Who is taking care of those high risk items identified by these frameworks and these regulations? These dashboards are good for audit again. You will shine in audit. But are you actually implementing security? That automation of governance is required in the tools today. That nobody is doing in the industry.
And you feel it's missing?
It is a missing piece. You can't solve the puzzle without this piece. And this has been a problem for last 30 years. Earlier, we did not have technology to create these dashboards and the UCFs and all of these things. But now we have. Let us harness that technology and create this automated tool, which will govern, which will help in automating my governance. It's not only the assessment of the risk, the action also has to be automated.
True.
And with the advancement of AI, I don't think it is very difficult for anybody to develop something like that. So maybe I'm giving ideas to a lot of practitioners out there. Start working on that too. That's the need of the hour.
This has been a gray area, and thanks for providing some sort of clarification. So another question is, where do you feel organizations need to go further beyond the regulation itself?
See, as I said, regulations, frameworks, policies, should not be sitting in documentation only. I've seen enterprises having, this book, hardbound book. They gave me security policy like this when I went there for an audit. Colorful hardbound book, very good looking. It's like an international novel. You feel good taking that book in your hand, but it is good for only that. Even I did not read it. The security policy was 232 pages. Who will read that?
Yeah.
When an auditor did not read it, for sure nobody in the
Okay.
enterprise read it, right? So your policies should sit in everybody's head, not in the paper or in the shared drives. So make sure you are making your people aware of your policies. A policy is a public document. You have to share it with anybody and everybody who is touching your systems, your organization. It's not a confidential document. And industry must know that. Share it with all your vendors, contractors, all your employees, everybody who is touching your organization, your systems, and let them follow it.
But is it genuinely being, or is it in practice genuinely as a thumb rule? Vendor, right? A bank will have, for bank it's regulated, but any entity that has works with a vendor ecosystem as
Correct.
a thumb rule, is it being implemented?
Tell me one thing.
Practiced?
Okay, I lived in Middle East. You guys work in Middle East, right? In India, the traffic rule is we drive on left.
In Middle East.
In Dubai, we drive on right.
Right.
And they failed me in driving test 5 times after having driven in India for 18 years.
Yeah.
They failed me 5 times. The rule is different there. The vendor ecosystem which you have, they might have a different policy in their organization. They might have worked with another customer who had a different policy. How do they know what is the rule in your corporate? You need to teach the rule, right? So make them read your policy. That's the only way.
Yeah.
If I started driving on the left in Dubai, what would have happened? So they taught me how to drive on the right side of the road.
Yeah.
Failed me 5 times.
True.
And then gave me the license, right?
Fine.
So make everybody read your policies, read your rules before they touch your organization in any sense. So it has to be a regular practice if it is not. But I'm seeing this change is happening. People are sharing those things with everybody.
Yeah.
And we should.
We should. So, sir, since you mentioned about policy, documentation, and the vendor ecosystem that as a thumb rule, vendors should be made aware about the policy, where do you still feel is the biggest gap in being compliant or staying secure? Because even if I'm making my vendor ecosystem, my third parties aware of the policy, that does not guarantee that there will not be any third party risks. So how does being...
There is one guarantee in that.
Yeah.
If you don't share your policy, there will be a risk. So after sharing a policy, you are reducing that risk at least, right? Second, compliance is no good if you stop at compliance. You need to bring it in practice.
True.
You need to make everybody learn how to behave in a way. Again, the same example, driving on left or driving on right. I need to tell them. They will not know by default. Compliance is static. Security is dynamic. My risk landscape is changing on daily basis. Earlier, it used to change 3, 4, 6 months interval. Today, because of advancement of AI, it is changing on real-time basis. You need to tackle it on real time. So, compliance regulations will come over a time. Your security cannot wait for that. Your security has to be dynamic. Your controls have to be dynamic. So, that's the difference we need to understand about compliance and security.
But if I may ask, is there any practical example you can give which showcases a stark difference between being compliant and being secured?
Have you heard of... Okay, I won't name it. There was a famous case. They got ISO 22301 certified in Middle East.
Okay.
Now, I was there in Middle East, so a lot of examples will come from there.
Yeah.
let's say they got certified on 13th of March. 15th of March, they were non-available for 3 days.
Okay.
Now, ISO 22301 is a business continuity management standard. So you are supposed to be having the business continuity in place. After getting certified, 3 days and you're offline.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about a big, you can Google the case, you'll know the name. I'm not taking the name now. So what does that mean? They were compliant, they were certified,
But not
right? But not secure. That compliance had not come into the ground,
Yeah.
in the mindsets, in the culture of the, they were still doing it, So achieving a compliance, passing an audit is a different thing. Having actual security in place is totally different ball game.
True.
So we need to
Yeah,
understand that difference.
that's a great example, killer example. So, sir, tell me, in your experience, what really breaks down? Is it validation, continuous monitoring, or implementation?
You need all three of them.
They go hand in hand.
Unless until you implement, you can't validate,
Yeah.
right? But if I have to pick one, I'll pick continuous monitoring. Risk is changing on, again, I said this a while back, on daily basis, real-time basis. I'll give an example on that. Earlier, we used to say, oh, you need to look at your emails. If you are getting an email which has spelling mistakes, miscolored logos, all those telltale signs, it's a phishing email. So you should not click on the link if an email is bringing a link to you and all that. Today, with AI, attackers are creating emails which are far better looking than yours and my email.
Yeah.
In my tone, in my writing style, with all my color scheme and logos and everything, 100% same and maybe better sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? So the threat landscape has changed. So if I keep continuing with those controls which I had earlier, now those antiviruses or EDRs of the world, they will not be able to identify this phishing email because it is so perfect. It doesn't have all those telltale signs.
Sometimes even the domain is similar. Yeah.
Typo-squatted domain, like similar domains, today even the domain will look like, same, cyberdoctorlalitgupta.com.
Yeah.
It will look like cyberdoctorlalitgupta.com.
Yeah.
But that A will be alpha. It is not A, it's alpha from some other font scheme. That will be the only difference. Naked eye cannot see that.
True.
So you need to continuously monitor your controls. Is it still working for me today? So if I have to pick one, as I said, continuous monitoring is what is needed today.
Okay. Yeah.
Validation will happen with audit. Implementation you've already done because you have to tick all the boxes, right? Auditor came, validated, or you tick all the boxes. Thank you very much. Tata, bye bye. But this phishing email is a perfect example, right? So you need to continuously evolve. Continuous evolvement can happen only if you do continuous monitoring.
Especially in the age of AI, continuous.
Now the risk landscape is totally different.
Yeah.
Earlier, we used to say in industry, if nothing changes, you go and reassess your risk once in a year. Once in a year. Today you cannot afford that. In a year, the whole technology will change. So today we say go and check every quarter or every month if possible. Or have an automated system to keep on rechecking your risk landscape and controls. And if they are still good or not.
There has to be continuous
Yeah,
monitoring.
has to be.
All your regulatory controls.
There is, see, again, regulatory controls, Amrita, is again tick in the box.
Yeah.
They will make you pass audit.
Yeah.
But are they actually working for the purpose they were defined
Practice, yeah.
in practice? That's what we need to check.
True. So, sir, my next question is, what happens when AI enters the picture from an organization standpoint, right? When AI enters privacy, security, how are those aspects impact it? I mean, there would be an impact, but to what extent, and how can we best, are we even prepared to handle it if there is some sort of negative impact which comes as a byproduct of, say, using AI?
See, again, as we discussed a little while earlier, AI is a double-edged sword. How am I using it depends upon what will be the outcome, right? The advancement of AI, all these models, ChatGPTs, Claudes, Co-pilots of the world, Geminis of the world, and all others, how do they work? We need to understand that. Their fuel is the data which we are feeding in, the questions we are asking, the prompts we are putting in, the data we are sharing with them. That's their fuel. They learn from that and adapt for their next response.
Correct.
This adoption of AI in organizations has brought in a new term, shadow AI, where I, as a leader of the enterprise, I don't know what my guys are feeding to AI models, what kind of questions they are asking to the AI model, and what kind of information they are sharing with these models. There was this famous case 6 months back. One of the topmost consulting companies in the world, they were fined by the federal government of Australia
Okay.
for putting one of their legal contracts in one of the AI models and rectifying the English.
Okay.
That legal contract was used by that model to feed in some other prompt, and that's how they got to know. And this particular consulting company was fined in terms of billions of dollars. So we, as leaders of industry, we need to be very mindful of what my people are putting in those prompts, what kind of information they are putting there. So we need to be very careful. So this is a big risk which I see today due to rampant usage of AI models.
From both privacy and security.
Anything. It could be anything. Sometime back, a very popular thing was you give your date of birth, place of birth, and name to ChatGPT. It tells you your future. You don't need astrologers of the world. And it's true.
Yeah.
Right? But what are you giving to ChatGPT? Your full date of birth, your full name,
Your personal details.
all the details which your bank uses to identify you till date.
Yeah.
Right? So let us be mindful what we are doing. And as an enterprise, we need to check the shadow IT. Shadow AI is a new term, and we need to be working on that. We need to know what my people are doing. Either I won't say block all the AI models, then we are not harnessing the technology advancement, but we need to keep an eye. We need to make my people learn what they can put, what they cannot. They cannot put all the proposals we are making, all the RFP responses we are doing. They cannot put those to the ChatGPTs of the world and refine it or optimize it. No, we cannot do that.
So, sir, since you mentioned about shadow AI, my concern is almost everybody out there, including myself, we use ChatGPT for official purposes, right? It's the most common occurring practice. So, should there not be regular checks and measures in place to ensure that even unknowingly, employees are not uploading confidential details on an AI platform or an AI application? Also, if this is the case that our confidential details are going out there on AI platforms and application, can this be considered as one of the most overlooked risks that comes with AI adoption? Because from my point of view, I have very little control. So if I have my team members, I wouldn't have the control of what they are uploading and how is that data being processed. So can I consider this as the most overlooked, but one of the most prominent risks which comes with AI adoption?
It is one of the most prominent risks, but it is not overlooked.
Okay.
We need two things in this. Again, I'll go back to governance, my favorite topic.
Yes.
We need to create a culture where we tell everybody what they can do and what they cannot do. Earlier times, 15, 17 years back when we used to do awareness training, standing in the room and running it through a PPT, we used to tell everybody don't click on the links which are being sent in emails, don't do this, don't do that, but you can do this. So do's and don'ts were there. We need to do that again today. So we need to tell our people what are the do's and don'ts while using the AI models. We need to give them examples. The one famous example I talked about is Australian federal government. There are numerous examples like that. Tell them, create the culture, plus bind them with technology. So there are a lot of data classification and data leakage prevention solutions today in the market. Start using them. They will not let anybody put any of the PII or confidential information or PHI data on these models by default. So create a culture, tell them the do's and don'ts, and bind them with technology. That's
So in
the only
spite
way.
of that, if don'ts are violated, what would be my next step?
When you bind them with technology, violations will not happen. Then technology will not
Take care
let them
of
put
it.
it there. Culture, yes, is even after having only technology is no good. People will keep on trying. People will
Yes.
keep on. Uh, some way, someday, somebody will find a way. But if you have a culture in place, they know what could be the consequences. Things will not go wrong, and that comes from my 30 years of experience. If you use all three, people, process, technology, as a governance structure, things don't go wrong that easy. And if it does, we need to be resilient. So we need to know how to bounce back. So there is a famous, it went viral when I said it first time. Cybersecurity is not enough. We need cyber resilience,
True.
right? So be ready with if anything goes wrong, then we should know how to bounce back. We are good.
So this is not one of the most overlooked risks with AI adoption. Then what is?
The risk which is not again being tackled today is nobody is understanding the need of AI governance to the level it should be. Now I'm talking about not the usage of AI, I'm talking about the process of development of AI. Even there you need AI governance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would have heard of a framework called ISO 42001.
Yes.
It's an AI management system. And again, I'm feeling there will be a deja vu situation for me. I transitioned from BS 7799 to ISO 27001, and I saw that was year 2003, 4, 5. I saw the way industry adopted 27001 that time, and it changed the face of the industry. I think we need ISO 42001 today to change the way AI is being developed, ML codes are being written, how these engines are being trained. We need AI governance in place. Now, I'm talking about ISO 42001 because that's the most authentic
Yeah.
framework I have seen in my life, or any of the ISOs. They give you a starting point, they give you a foundation, then build your building on top of that. So, that is something what I feel is the need of the hour, and the industry must look at it. And definitely this industry will look at it, and it is going to be again a loop lapeta situation for me when I'll see the sea change in industry
yeah.
again.
True.
The industry is running behind this governance model, and it should happen. It should happen like that.
But there are many acts with regards to AI that have made their way. There's
Correct.
European Union AI Act,
Correct.
NIST AI, RMF.
RMF.
So is there a lack of implementation still because it's not yet a regulatory mandate?
See, when we say acts are for a particular geography,
Yes.
for a particular risk they identified in that geography, right? I'm talking about international frameworks,
Yeah.
which are not mandates, which you can mold as per your organization, as per your environment, right? Acts, regulations, again, I'll go back to one of the earlier questions you asked me. They are good as a starting point.
But as a starting.
But how will you adapt that to your suitability is where you need these international frameworks. They are adaptive, they are flexible. So you understand your environment, you understand your risk, and mold the governance model. That's what we need. Governance is not a static one-time project. It's an ongoing activity. It's an ongoing program. You need to keep adapting. You need to keep modifying. You need to be flexible. That's why I may sound as advocate of international frameworks, but that's what we need on top of the regulations. Regulations are required, but they are again a starting point.
That's a great insight. Regional adoption has to be there. Company-wise adoption has to be there. So, Dr. Lalit, this brings me to a very interesting question. And this, in fact, would be my ritual question to every guest who comes to our podcast session. So, tell me, looking back, what is that one product, one solution, or one capability that you feel is the need of the hour in this industry, which can solve probably the current challenges with regards to AI, privacy, security, which can really move the needle in this space?
We have a lot of tools which are taking care of my compliance needs, my security needs, AI, privacy, everything. But I don't see them anything more than the dashboards.
Yeah.
They help me to implement controls. They help me to understand what is needed as a control. But they don't help me to adapt and execute those controls on a real-time basis. So the need of the industry is a tool which can help me monitor continuously, which can help me validate the controls on real time, and which can give me more visibility in what is going on in my network, in my corporate infra. Obviously automated by AI, but we need that kind of tool, and it is not there. I don't see any of those tools. I don't want to name tools here, but any of those tools, they don't serve this purpose. Everybody is good in silos. Somebody is very good in GUI. They present you beautiful dashboards. Other tool would be very good in integrating different compliances, different frameworks, different regulations. Other tool would be good for audit. But which one is helping me to do the continuous monitoring, continuous validation of controls, and a real-time visibility into my infra? None of them. So that's what we need.
There's not a single tool yet out there in the market, and that could be one focus area.
Good business idea for the business folks out there.
Yeah, right? Yeah. You've given our practitioners a lot of idea. So before we launch our next podcast, maybe we'll have already people working on this idea. Yeah. So Dr. Lalit, this brings me to our last segment of the session, and perhaps I wouldn't be wrong in calling it the most exciting segment. It's our rapid fire section. So
I'm ready.
So very quickly you have to answer, what is that one thing organizations should stop doing right away?
Stop celebrating your compliance success.
And start doing right away?
Start monitoring continuously.
Okay, great. One biggest myth about compliance?
I'm compliant, I'm secure.
So compliance doesn't translate into security?
It is not. Absolutely not. Compliance is just a starting point for security, right?
One word to describe AI era security?
Keep adapting.
And one word for our podcast session today?
Amazing.
Thank you, Dr. Lalit. This has been a really insightful conversation. What stood out throughout our discussion is that compliance is essential, but it is only the starting point.
Yes.
Real security lies in how organizations implement, validate, and evolve those controls, especially in the AI era. It was interesting hearing real-life perspectives, examples for you. But before we wrap up, I would like you to give a message for all our practitioners, leaders out there who are navigating AI, privacy, security as one evolving space right now.
See, AI, security, privacy, cybersecurity is not what you design. it's what you do
Yeah.
on daily basis. So everybody out there should know this. Design may be beautiful, but that won't make you secure. What will make you secure is what you are practicing on daily basis.
Thank you. Thank you for such a lovely message.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, looking forward to more such discussions, podcast
Anytime.
sessions
Sure.
where you enlighten practitioners, people from the field and beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks to
thank
you, Amrita and Sandbox. I enjoyed it. Thank you.